Michael, thanks for joining me. It's great to talk to you. We talked a little bit before I turned the recorder on about overcoming obstacles. What have you seen federal agencies do when they've run up against obstacles in adopting DevSecOps practices? How have you seen them overcome those things? Are there common themes among what they've done?
Yeah, the most common challenge that I see, organizations and agency face when adopting DevSecOps is really about changing their current culture and adopting a DevSecOps culture that is more modern. Most organizations are very heavily siloed, and that doesn't encourage teams to collaborate, which is really what DevSecOps is about, towards that common goal of efficiently delivering quality software to their customers. So this can make it really hard to break down those barriers and get the benefits. What you want to do is break down those barriers between your development, your operations, and your security teams and their processes. You're trying to bring everybody together. So technology can help with that, and a modern DevSecOps platform like GitLab can really help facilitate that because you're bringing all three of those teams together in a common platform, a common UI. There's a common data store behind the information they're capturing in there, and it facilitates that collaboration the way you want. So operation teams are to be, easily to integrate with the development team on standing up the infrastructure and automating things through GitOps. The security team can make sure that compliance is adhered to, again, around automation of continuous integration, and get the security scans and testing and compliance standards and baked in and shifted left to the developers as close as possible.
You talked about something that I think most folks figure this as a technology issue, and so the solution has something to do with technology. But you used the word processes, which I think is fascinating about all of this, because if you go to the cultural piece that you talked about a moment ago as well, it strikes me rethinking the way that one goes about achieving whatever the end result is important, and maybe that's not necessarily a technological solution. Am I on the right track there?
If you kind of look historically at DevSecOps solutions out there, they're more point solutions, right? So they facilitated this silo. So my experience working in this field, and I've been around technology and different types of technology for a while, is we tend to form our processes around the technology we use. So then it makes it difficult, again, when we're adopting newer technologies and want to embrace new methodologies. So, organizations, before they even start looking at new tech, I think it's important to take a step back and look at how you're doing things and look at where your inefficiencies are, right? You're only ever going to be as efficient as your most inefficient step in any given process.
You talked about forming processes around technologies, and from the way you just described it, it sounds like it should be the reverse. It sounds like one should wrap the technology around the processes, continually rethink the processes, and then apply whatever technology comes down the line that we may or may not even know about today to whatever those processes are. Am I thinking about that the right way?
Absolutely. Figuring out what your best process could be and then finding the technologies that'll help foster that and facilitate that is really, really the smart approach.
What are the tools then that agencies that are getting successful at this using to get successful at it?
So what you're seeing a lot today, and of course I'm heavily biased in this area, but DevSecOps platforms, right? So GitLab is one of the few complete DevSecOps platforms. It's not just a point solution in any of these section of the life cycle. So you're able to do your agile management. You've got your source code management. You've got your continuous integration, continuous deployment and delivery. And then you are able to wrap in that security and that compliance and get the team really collaborating. And you've got that traceability and auditability. You're not passing things around to spreadsheets. You're not trying to figure out who worked on what when, because there's the ability to see that path in a complete DevSecOps solution like GitLab, even if you're using third-party tools as well. So you may have a specific compliance tool or a security analysis tool providing something GitLab doesn't provide, or you're augmenting what GitLab does with it. You can incorporate that into the GitLab process so it's part of that traceability as well. And you can see where it's run, what commit, what lines of code that it surfaced up vulnerabilities or exceptions to any testing, et cetera.
You talked about security and collaboration, and I wonder what the intersection of those two concepts is and how one strikes the right balance between those two really critical elements as you've described them.
I think this is one of the larger obstacles with agencies and teams adopting DevSecOps today. A lot of time, the security piece of it is kind of after the fact of everything, right? So the development team and the operation teams are working, they build the code, they're creating new features, they're fixing bugs, but then they toss it over the wall to some extent and they don't really know what happened. Security is kind of a black box. With these modern tools that we have, security is able to work more closely with developments and operations and actually bring security closer to them. So developers can be trained to spot more common vulnerabilities and resolve them faster, sooner in the process. So maybe they never even make it to the security team, or the security team is able to, be the peers and the mentors and provide the guidance closer and sooner in the process as well.
What do you see agencies needing to pay attention to moving forward as the technology evolves, as hopefully their cultures shift, and so on, to continue to have whatever measure of success or grow the measure of success that they're having, Michael?
Oh, that's a great question. I think what they really need to pay attention to is what's happening in the industry today, what's new, what's out there on the horizon, and essentially do a gap analysis, right? Like how far away are you from where you want to be? And you don't have to like rip out everything today wholesale and try to embrace something new and possibly overwhelm and break everything. You can do things in kind of piecemeal ways, right? A lot of these DevSecOps platforms, including GitLab, allow you to do things on a project by project basis. So you don't have to embrace everything all at once. You can fold things in an iterative basis. You can, sunset legacy programs that maybe work fine with the old process and the old tools. Greenfield projects can start with the new process. And another thing that's really changing things dynamically in the marketplace now are all of these AI assisted features, right? It's really helping this complex process and surfacing up great insights and recommendations on how to improve processes and such like that. So keeping an eye on where that's going as well. And GitLab has done a great job, I think, in wrapping in a lot of AI assisted features throughout the solution, not just around code suggestions.
Michael, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, you're welcome.